This bed music is kicking.
Makes me feel like I'm about to go on a laser quest.
You're watching the video?
They're like, they're giving me like the safety tutorial.
Don't hit the kids with your gun.
And you already see the little kid that you want to hit with a
Yeah.
gun.
I'm going after him first.
You sure I can't hit that one?
I don't like the way he's looking at me.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Well.
Sick drop.
Ooh.
All right.
Today's episode of Thunderheads is brought to you by Wellness Perspective. Wellness Perspective makes it easier for you to live healthfully. They're also making it easier for us to do this podcast. Check them out at mywellnessperspective.com to learn more.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads. Whew. If you're tuning into YouTube Live, we're psyched to have you. I'm Brandon Soul, joined by a guy who was here a couple weeks ago, Mr. Jacob Mann.
It's a good nickname.
You just drowned the guest out, Jason. He goes hello, and you just yell over him. Yeah, it's
That's fine.
Yeah, sorry, you're gonna earn your stripes around here, bud.
It's all right. I'm good.
That's
We got to work to talk.
That's the dark and stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Missing Rob and Justin today, the doctor and Mr. Ty. We'll miss them. We hope they're well. I think Rob has a soccer game, huh?
Rob's, well,
His kid.
his child is
But
winning.
he takes it more seriously.
Yeah, that's probably
than
true. He
his
might
child.
be out there. I don't know.
Today we're going to talk about the current state of the Thunder, their defensive schemes, refusing to make adjustments. Oh, God, this is a theme. And what's up with Russ, Melo, Paul George, Steven Adams, and also the entire rest of the team
This is definitely going to be loads of fun.
and coaching staff. But first, you know what? No, but first. Let's just jump right into it.
Oh, God.
What the hell's going on with this team? I'm going to put it right out like that because, I mean, that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone
For sure.
expected from game one, all of us optimistic. I don't know about you. I can't speak for you, Jacob, but all of us optimistic heading into the series with the Jazz, liking the matchup. Game one rolls around. The Thunder take care of business. They shoot the ball really well, and so maybe it seemed a little bit fluky, and we were a little bit worried about that because they still didn't get the ball in the lane,
Right.
but they won the game handily in game one. Game two, they lost by a little bit. It was a bit of a nail-biter. They just didn't make shots down the stretch. Man, these last two games just downhill, like full-on black ski slope,
Yeah.
like Black Diamond ski slope.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I literally last night I was thinking to myself, like, I remember very clearly at one point thinking, I don't care what happens. I don't care if they reverse, like if they come back and win this series, this team is not good.
Yeah.
Like I don't like outside of a title. Okay, if they somehow make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'll eat my words. It's not going to happen.
Sure.
I've said all season I've been waiting for the postseason to decide what I thought about this. You know, a lot of people just made judgments in the regular season, and there's just plenty of teams that really kicked it up in the postseason. And honestly, this is not a good team.
You know, you say that you've been waiting for the postseason. That's what the players have been saying all season long.
Right.
Everyone,
And everyone has assumed that these guys, hey, they're veterans.
they're built for the playoffs.
Us included, man. Like, you know, we fell into the trap at times as well. We've had our moments where we've said, this team sucks. And then we've had our moments where we're like, well, maybe there are. You know,
They've
maybe.
shown little flashes.
They've shown flashes, but those flashes have been few and far between.
Very
Have
true.
they not? When you
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the negative feeling that last game in the way it went down. It's always the way it went down with this team.
Yeah.
It always is. There's always something. But maybe it's that negative feeling that game leaves you with. It has you reflecting on the rest of the season and thinking about it. And you're like, you know what? How many high moments were there in this season so far up to
Didn't
this
feel
point? I don't
like-
want to call the season over yet because it's not officially over yet. But
Right.
how many high moments were there this season?
I mean, there were the couple Golden State wins, the Rocket wins,
Right.
and
Those games
we beat
that-
the Bucks.
The Cavs, the huge Cavs. Yeah, those games were...
Beating Toronto in Toronto felt
Yeah.
like wow, this team is really, could be the real deal.
When they came out in those games and they showed you, oh, this is the potential,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, hey, I could buy into that. Like they showed that they could be good, but the most of the season they were at their floor.
Well, and can I
or
just say
around
sorry,
the floor.
go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Well, I can just say too, one of the things that genuinely did concern me, even in those wins, is that it's not like they were winning those games because they were just coming out and implementing this new system and the pick and roll it was just Westbrook couldn't miss a long two or like Paul George goes off and shoots 60% from three.
Or the Thunder do it defensively, which they do often this year.
Now, again, everyone would point out the Robertson issue, but here's the thing. Andre Robertson is extremely important. No one doubts that. He is not so important that this team become if Andre Robertson is the difference between these three Hall of Famers being a good team or not, you've got more problems than Andre Robertson. I just don't buy that. And I love Andre. I think this is a great team, but if Andre Robertson's the guy that's keeping you accountable, like then why isn't anybody else keeping you accountable? And B, like you've got major issues.
So is that the biggest issue with this team is accountability? Like, I know hindsight, obviously, I mean, that's kind of, you need hindsight in this situation when we're having this conversation, because that's been a conversation surrounding the Thunder for years. Accountability. Like, do you have the accountability? Does this organization hold their stars accountable for the mistakes that they make, for the possessions they take off, for the games you lose that maybe they aren't holding themselves responsible for? And right now, it's the stars.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, you can't expect role players to go win these playoff games.
No.
Yeah.
It comes down to these stars. And you're right, when you talk about these high points in the season, when you talk about beating the Golden States, the Houston's on the road, the Toronto on the road, these big wins that have been crucial to the Thunder getting this 4 seed, it wasn't because the Thunder are picking these teams apart.
Yeah.
It's because the Thunder are hot and they're locked in defensively for actually, 45 of 48 minutes. Yeah. And we're not getting that. And they seem to be relying on, we'll get hot. We'll get hot. We'll get hot. Hey, bros, you're not getting hot, man.
You're
the Jazz
getting colder.
The Jazz are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that this series is going to end up being a very humbling experience for all three of those guys. I hope that it'll at least be humbling to them, to where they're like, oh, maybe I should try to
That's a good point.
to do something else, because this clearly isn't working when you just think at some point, well, I'll just flip the switch on and I'm amazing. I'll just be playoff P. That works for a game. Cool. Does it work for a series against a team that plays as a team?
No.
I don't think it does.
Well, and my question, so I think that'll be good for us to talk about, like, here moving forward, is just, okay, worst case scenario, which isn't, it's probable that they don't win this series. I mean, at this point, I mean,
very
it would
unlikely.
Be the most Thunder thing in the entire world for them to come back and win this series and then beat Houston. That would be the most.
I don't think so. I think that's giving the Thunder too much credit.
Well, okay, I only say it's the most OKC thing in the world because this season they do exactly what I think they won't do.
Yeah. Every time I buy into one side, it's like, well, nope.
Okay, I get you.
We're going to lose to the Nets. But we're going to beat Houston at home, full strength.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess what I want to know is, in addition to, I mean, I just feel like when we're watching this series, and you guys tell me what you think, but one of the things that truly now is in the spotlight, because there was just this dynamic of like, well, these rotations are so weird. The lineups and the staggering is weird. Maybe Billy Donovan's waiting for the playoffs. That has come and gone, clearly.
Yeah.
That all the logical things that I thought he's got to be waiting for the playoffs. Derek Favors and Patterson. That to me seems like such a logical matchup. And it's not happening. You're not getting – they're so big inside. You're not getting Patterson and you're not getting Adams together on the floor. Is there – I mean, can we say that there's probably a consensus that the coaching is not optimal for at least this lineup?
My thing with this team right now is I think it's impossible to play the blame game.
Yeah.
Because
That's actually what I was going to say.
You can't pinpoint one problem with this team because it's
all the problems
everywhere.
Yeah.
You could say it's Billy Donovan because these lineups he's poured out time and time again make no sense. You're right. He probably hasn't played enough Patterson with Adams. He's played Melo far too many minutes. Melo is just not a good player anymore, and we've learned this. He has his if you start Melo, go ahead, start Melo. I don't care. And if he starts the game 4 for 5 or whatever, leave him in. Play him more minutes.
But if he's sitting there 1 for 9, take his ass out.
Most of the game, he was the Thunder's leader in minutes last night.
Yeah.
But then you look at the roster and you're like, well, what does Billy Donovan have to work with? It's not like Patrick Patterson has been awesome when he's when he's gotten time this year.
Yeah.
So then it goes to that, and then it goes back to Sam Presti, and then you're like, well, Russell Westbrook has had a down season for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Paul George, is he in it? Is he full on engaged all
Did he
season
look
long?
engaged to you guys last night? Because he did not look engaged to me.
No one looked engaged, man.
They all just look pissed off at the...
Russell is always engaged with something. He's engaged whether it's the game or not. He's always engaged
Right.
with like,
Whether it's channeled correctly or not.
Beef,
Right.
Like he's got some bullshit going on with Rubio, so he's engaged in that way. And I thought Brewer was engaged. I thought Grant was engaged. All the bench dudes, like you can see it. Abrinas did some really good things and played like 11 minutes. Like, but Paul George, when I look at that guy's face, sometimes it's like he's just waiting. At one point, the Thunder were down by like 11, and it was when the Jazz were really starting to pour it on. He gets free throws, and he walks up to the line. He looks over at Westbrook. He's like I got this. Like, don't worry, it's coming. And it's like, bro, it's not coming, dude. Like, what? You're so calm.
Well,
like,
when you talk about engaged, is that the problem? That
I don't know.
Maybe you're engaged, but you're not engaged in the right way. You're not engaged as a team. You're engaged individually. And that's what the Jazz are taking the Thunder to school right now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
Absolutely.
on the offensive end. They're showing you, hey, this is how you play offense, guys.
This is called team basketball. This is
seen
how you do
and
that.
I, to your credit, or I can't remember who said it. I hope it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
I hope
no.
Russell Westbrook goes home, and here's the thing. I'll defend that guy. Like there are things that he gets attacked for that I think are absolutely not worth it. But there are other things that are obvious flaws in his game.
Of course.
Everyone that loves Westbrook knows. I hope this breaks whatever that thing in him. That prideful, like I love the
Keyword prideful.
I love the shut that shit down thing because he really did do that. I thought some of those fouls were extremely questionable.
I love it to a point.
Yeah.
Right.
Elaborate on that. Let's hang on that.
So, like, I think what we were just talking about with the individual thing, like, in my eyes, Paul George was engaged, but Russell Westbrook, being the leader that he is, was engaged with his one person, right?
Agreed.
Paul George ended up being engaged with his one person, and it became just like a shoving match with him. Like, he kept getting texts, and he kept getting in Ingles' face. It's like, dude, just play fucking basketball. Quit. Like, quit doing this thing that you're doing and try to win the game, because they didn't do that.
Yeah, and you saw a little bit of that, man, when Russ is getting beat, when he's losing.
Yeah.
And the team's getting beat, you saw a little bit of that Russ, like, crybaby a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, where he just starts, like, he's a wild man, and he starts to get a little reckless. And like, imagine being on the court with that guy. You're like, dude, I don't want to be on the court with that guy.
Like you're about to get somebody...
Whether you're his teammate or not, he crossed the line where he gets a little out of control, and you're like, dude, this is not a good look, man. Especially when you're getting your ass kicked.
Right.
So I'm going to use a so nerdy analogy.
I love
I'm
it.
about to go nerd beyond nerd, right? I love to. There's this term in when you play like online. When you play like online video games, it's called getting tilted, and basically, it's when that happens. And dude, like when you got one dude, a part of your unit that's freaking out and he's blaming people and he's yelling and he's screaming or whatever, the whole thing goes to shit. And like if you've ever played, Call of Duty, you get that.
I haven't.
I've played Battlefield, but I didn't know what tilted was. I thought that was about pinball.
But it's the same. It's the same dynamic in any sport. I'm not even trying to say video games are a sport. I'm just saying any kind of team atmosphere when you've got one guy going off the rails. Because here's the and here's the thing.
Especially your leader.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too. I think to your point. I think that Paul George was. I think he's been tilted by Ingles
Like the
since
whole,
game
like-
2.
So what do you mean tilted is like influenced?
Meaning like he's
in his head.
He's tilted. He's off centered. He's not.
Right.
He's not cool, calm, and collected. He's like tilted. Like
He's off the rails a bit
right.
himself.
He's off the rail. I think what happened was Ingles talked a bunch of shit game 1, and George was just literally Clay Thompson nuclear from 3. Better maybe than the game.
Yeah, he had a great
6
game.
point. Yeah.
8 for 11.
And I think probably George probably said a lot in that game. That's my guess. I bet George was just rubbing it in Ingles' face all night.
Oh, yeah.
Because
For sure he was.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
He's
sure.
your guy, and you are
Sure.
just literally
Lighting
just
him on fire.
dumping him. I think in game 2 those shots didn't fall, and in game 3 those shots didn't fall, and Ingles was like, "My turn."
Yeah.
And I think that shook because Joe Ingles, you're Paul George. Joe Ingles.
You're supposed to lock
Have you
him up.
seen the Ingles gif? The like, you freaking moron, you've been Ingles.
No,
it's like,
I
dude,
haven't.
it's like a joke essentially. I'll pull it up.
I have seen the memes of him being Toby from The Office.
Yes,
Yeah.
dude, literally.
Very accurate.
You're getting. I saw a meme the other day that was like the Thunder. It was a picture of Rubio and Ingles, and it's like the Thunder getting beat down by the two worst dudes at Coachella. And it's like that's seriously how it feels.
pretty good.
It's like, dude, like these are Ricky Rubio got traded away. Like they're like people, and he's out playing Russell Westbrook, and
by a pretty good
oh,
margin.
substantially,
Yeah.
Quite a bit better.
Substantially.
Man, is this the same team that they've been all year, and we've just failed to accept it? That's what it feels
I mean,
like.
so like I kind of feel like right now what I felt like is this entire season that I've been like a doomsday prophet. Like one of those guys that's like October 4th, fucking world's going to end. It's done. All right? And then October 4th shows up and everyone's like, "Hey man,
You've been that
world didn't
opposite
end."
for the Thunder.
But I've been the opposite. Like they're going to get better. And now it turns out that the world is ending for them, not in the way that I had hoped.
So this is the meme. It's like getting rickrolled. You don't say what it is, and then this is the picture that comes up. I'll post it in the chat. But
Got
like
ya.
that guy is
I hate
this
that
guy is torching Paul George right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and the thing that's unfair is there's two sides to this, because Ricky Rubio, Joe Ingles torching Russell Westbrook and Paul George respectively, but they're doing it in a way where it's not one-on-one.
Yeah.
That's not what they're doing. Everyone on their team is helping one another out. They're playing together. They look like a team. The Thunder look like the farthest away from a team that I've ever seen this team look like.
Yeah.
And that even going back to when Kevin Durant was on the team and everyone talked about one-on-one ball, my turn, your turn, whatever. And then even last year,
It's
when you had
never looked
Russell
this
Westbrook
ugly.
have a usage percentage over 40%, it's never looked less like a team than it does right now.
I agree.
Last night, the Thunder's offense was give the ball to Paul George and go to work like he's James Harden.
But he didn't do that.
I was so weirded out. He had a higher usage percentage than Russell Westbrook last night. Probably one of the you can probably count on one hand how many times that's happened this year. And this was one of those games. And the way it was going down was so alarming to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Russ is giving Paul George the ball. He's running around the court under the baseline, around a couple screens, gets it
definitely-
back in the post, and then there's nope. Here you go. I'm taking a couple steps this way, and all right.
It was
See ya. Good luck. Good
Yeah.
luck, Paul George. I
It
hope you
was-
score.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which
back
is
to November Russ.
It's
and-
back to
or worse.
That's Russ's biggest problem to me.
Yeah.
That is his nut. Like, talk about his attitude all you want, and his attitude can be an asset sometimes, and it can be detrimental to the team sometimes.
Agreed.
Because he can be a baby sometimes, and he can let people get in his head sometimes. But when you have these other guys on your team, such as a Paul George, who is a capable player, and you don't move off the ball,
Yeah.
you got to move, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to become so easy to defend. The
Yeah.
team literally only has to defend
They're
four
like,
players.
"Oh, it's just that guy." Then.
And it's not like you're a good three-point shooter.
Yeah.
So you can't just stand out there and
right,
wait
and
for
that's
a pass.
what I hate. That's what I hate about the whole It's literally. I mean, the ironic part of that is it's complete role reversal. I want PG to give Westbrook the ball, and I want him to move through screen. He's a bigger. He's got the ability to be like people will switch on him, but he can find the mismatch. Let Russell do that. That's what Rubio's doing. He's driving and then he's kicking out to some of these dudes that are moving. They're all moving.
So what is this? Like what? Because the Thunder did that more earlier in the season. PG was running off screen after screen after screen.
Yeah.
They were getting him the ball in really good opportunities to score in good positions.
I mean, they've tried sort of running him through stuff a little bit in this series, but it's only like one action per thing, and that's
Right.
not going to work against
And-
this good of a defense.
and
Like,
when-
it
yeah.
just doesn't work that way.
And when that action fails, there's
They-
nothing else.
yeah.
It's one-on-one. So where's this gone? Like, what's the mindset behind last night where Russ brings up the court and just gives it to Paul George and stands out of the way? What's going on here?
So
Like, that can't be the play. That can't be Billy Donovan saying,
No.
this is what you're going to do, Russ.
It's like kind of what we were talking about earlier this year, where it's like, is that what like Billy is drawing up? Like,
Yeah.
Russell, I'm going to need you to go out there. 23 seconds left and just shoot it.
It's just it's just an arrow
passes.
from one end of the basket. It's just one arrow.
with one guy out here. But really, like,
And they just dots the board everywhere else. These
to
are all the other
me,
players.
the worry is it's like a pout. It feels pouty
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
me from
no,
Russell
it's-
Westbrook. That's what's scary. And I can't blame Paul George for continuously attacking off the dribble. Like, what else are you going to do? No one's moving. When
Yeah.
Paul George has the
What else are you
ball,
supposed to
no
do with
one
it?
moves.
Yeah.
They just sit there and watch him. And no one's really moving when Russell Westbrook has the ball anymore. That's what, I mean, this
No one's
this team-
moving whatsoever.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, to your point about it being pouty, like I think you're right. I think Russ I've never seen him look beat before, and it looks like he's beat, and that's sad. I don't like it.
I'll say two things to both your point and your point. One is for me that
strategy.
thanks, man. I worked on it. I wrote it down. I didn't. One is for me that's a lose-lose for Billy Donovan because, which is why as far as we were talking about the blame game, I do believe that I'm not saddling Donovan with this. I'm not saddling. I feel like it's a OKC thing. It's a sports thing, but a lot of OKC fans I saw last night blaming the refs. Dude, I don't even care about the refs.
That doesn't matter at all right now.
Two questionable calls on the last two questionable fouls. Dude, that is not why the Thunder lost. Not even close.
No, not even.
I would say this. I do hold Donovan accountable in some ways because for one, either he is drawing up plays and his players are literally flat out saying, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that case, it's not your team anymore. And whether you're a good coach or not, you can't be the coach of this team anymore because you're not a coach.
Agreed.
They should just coach themselves at this point. Or two.
That'll go well, by the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You guys
shoot.
want to just switch
Dude,
off?
I literally.
Oh, we're doing that
honestly-
now?
dude. Or two, he is not implementing a system. He genuinely is doing the Brooks thing, which is, I just trust my stars. They're good players. I thought we got good. I swear the
Really
thing,
feels like that
The
one.
Donovanism. I thought we got a lot of good looks. The ball just didn't go in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, more happened.
Yeah, definitely more happened.
I also saw those looks. They should have gone in. Also,
talk about how there were zero passes on most of the possession.
we had 6 assists in the first half.
The
That
thing
was-
about that, and the scary thing about that, and especially as a Thunder fan, to admit and face a reality, as there is the common denominator of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Now, you have Russell Westbrook haters out there, right? They just hate the guy, just
Yeah.
want to trash him at every opportunity they possibly can.
And damn it, are they being fueled right now?
Yeah, so fueled. I mean, he's proving so many stereotypes right now. But they hang on to these stereotypes and they just push those out, and it's definitely way too extreme most of the time. And then you have the other people who totally deny all these stereotypes and like, well, and that's too extreme. It's somewhere
There's
in the middle.
There's a gray middle.
Just like you
100%.
said earlier, the guy has flaws.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things about him is when he's on your team, your team revolves around that. The Thunder have made him into this player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's partly Russ, it's partly the Thunder. They've said when Billy Donovan came in, the ball was in Russ's hands more than ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was. It's hard to say. We've talked a lot on this podcast about how much influence does Sam Presti really have in telling Billy Donovan, saying, hey, but what if a couple of years ago he was like, it's Kevin's last year in his contract. I don't feel great about him staying. Even though the word on the street is that everyone felt great about him staying.
Yeah.
But what if he was
Presti
like,
might have known.
But I think we can hold on to Russ for let's let him have the ball more.
Yeah.
Let's let him be the offense
It's like
more.
start guiding it towards his team.
I don't know. This is just
All
just
speculation.
I-
We don't-
hypothesis,
we don't
whatever.
know.
But
I
it's
think
really
it's-
hard to
it's
implement a system around Russell Westbrook that involves passing the ball and moving the ball and setting screens and doing all this and that, because that's not the type of player he is.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You can be successful. This team has been successful in the past
Right.
with him being the player that he is.
Well, okay, so I would. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was switching channels on YouTube. Asked how coachable is Russell Westbrook?
Well,
well,
So that's kind of
that's a great question.
here's what I think.
That's a great question.
Here's what I think about Westbrook. I believe two things. I believe you can win a title with Westbrook, which a lot of people have said.
As
you
your
can't.
best player,
Yes, but I have some caveats. I believe you can coach him.
need some
And I
injuries.
believe you can-
Need some injuries at the West.
I think maybe that's a caveat. Okay, I've got another caveat. No, I think you can win a title with Westbrook, and I think he is coachable, and I think that he can do those things. Here's what I don't think. I don't think every coach can coach him. I don't think every player can play with him. I don't think every system he can play in.
That's fair.
Here's what
100%
I've
agree with
said since I've been saying it since the summer. Actually, no, not quite that early.
What month?
what
I
month
think-
and day?
I think around the end of June, around the
June
24th.
24th.
Ooh,
Here's
good
what
day.
I think. I think that Billy Donovan and Scott Brooks are essentially the same coach. And so for me, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is that the constant is Westbrook. And yes, he is a constant. Mm-hmm. Presti's a constant. There are a lot of constants. I mean, Collison's a constant.
He's really screwed us.
Yeah,
Very much his fault. All of it.
right. But here's what I do think. I think you've got two coaches. We have not had a coach come out. I've never heard of Donovan or Brooks or anyone in this organization ever criticize a player. Ever. And I'm telling you this. I don't. You look at people talk about Mo Cheeks as being like the Westbrook whisperer. Why is that? Everyone says Mo Cheeks good with Westbrook because he'll call him on his shit. Mm-hmm. Then if you know that works, I mean, then is it a respect thing?
Yeah.
It
worked for a couple.
That goes back to the accountability thing we were talking about.
So then my thing is like, okay, is this team bad? Is it bad? I think Westbrook and Paul George work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree with
truly
that.
think that. What I think is Melo's a very similar player to Westbrook, except he doesn't do it across the board. Westbrook, he should play better defense, unquestionable. That's a definitely. Whatever. But you understand at least some of why sometimes he lags because he's literally just doesn't turn off his motor.
It's acceptable in times.
Melo's is in his 15th year. The dude's shot doesn't fall anymore. He settles for isolation, jab step stuff that doesn't
Can't
work
make
anymore.
layups.
He can't hit a dude. Yes. So my question is like, and this is unfortunate for the Thunder because how you can't walk it back. But I just think when people, because I'm going to come out and say that I think that this season has absolutely been a failure. It just didn't work.
God, it's a massive failure.
Right. But
They did get the fourth.
I think
that's what you wanted.
I think Paul George was a success, but Melo was a failure. I think if you have Patterson, we talked about Patterson not being very good. Is that because Patterson was starting in Toronto and was seeing tons of minutes?
Well, I think that if you have a bit of a, I don't know how to say it. Like if you have a bit of a, it's almost like a corrupt locker room with egos at this point, right? So like if you have that and those egos aren't playing well, it's probably not going to bode well for the other role players.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like it's probably going to bleed into other guys a little bit.
And Melo strikes me as a guy that would double down too. Like he's not playing well, and instead of being like,
no, he's
like whatever.
He's a competitor. He really is.
That's fine, but like, man, even the greatest competitors recognized. I mean, you had Wade bench himself. Like you can be a competitor and recognize that you were a badass at one point, and also recognize that you're not anymore.
Yeah.
You remember that time?
That's everyone on the team.
Remember that time I was like, man, it'd be cool if Melo was like, hey guys, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a Wade. I'm gonna sit myself down.
But the scary thing is that Billy Donovan's also not doing anything about it.
And that's harkens back to what I was saying.
Exactly. And so is there a coddling problem here?
100%.
Yeah.
That 100%.
So what's the deal with that?
It's the culture. I think it's the culture that OKC
They're revolved around.
I think it's we don't have a chance to really get stars, and we happen to get them, and we're like, please stay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Please don't leave us.
or
Please don't
teams.
leave
We
us.
need you.
Stars or teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we have a pro franchise here.
Yeah.
That in its early years was blowing the doors off of the NBA. Like I may have told this story before, I can't remember, but I was in Boston for business at one point, and I had one of the
Very fancy.
there's a point
For
to this.
business. I had a briefcase on me.
Handcuffs to my wrist. So
Me being in Boston was completely irrelevant. Anyway, Billy Donovan. No, I one of the girls that was working on this event with us was also one of the girls from the Celtics.
She hot?
Yeah, she was pretty hot. She was. No, it's fine.
That's just a funny question to ask. Whenever anyone
Instantly.
talks about a girl, she hot?
Yeah, she's hot.
Because I'm picturing her and she seems hot.
She's Celtics,
has a big Celtic
working on
logo.
events, business trip, hot. No, she told me at that point, this was in 2014, that the Celtics were modeling their organization after OKC.
Really?
Yes, she said, you guys are doing what everyone in the league wants to do. She said, your community, your outreach, your culture, your family oriented, like everything. She was like, that's what we want. That's what everyone wants. We're all copying you. Now, this was 4 years ago.
And then they stopped.
Right. But my thing is that it's a positive in that OKC has created this amazing thing where every Thunder game is for the most part pretty much sold out. Doesn't matter if the team, even when the team was hurt. I mean, like whatever, people came and supported. But I think also with that culture, you don't have the winning necessarily, like the prestige that comes with the Lakers or the Celtics, where there is accountability, where whatever's happened. And so for me, I think the coddling, that's a grassroots problem. I think that has to do with the building blocks of the organization.
Right, and it might be a thing where they're like, we have to keep winning for this to get that, what you're talking about. You have to get that like history behind you to where people, like, if this team just shut off tomorrow, would people still show up? They're probably not 100% sure that would happen. I think
they're definitely
would.
scared of that happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why. And this is a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
this is a conversation. This whole thing's probably a conversation for another day, but we're so in it right now that I feel good about it, though. Like, this is important right now because I think that we know what's on the horizon. This team, man, I mean, come on. Right? You can't deny what you're seeing right now. You can't.
Good.
You cannot deny what you're seeing, so it's fair to have these conversations right now. And maybe the Thunder come out and they whoop some ass in Game 5. I don't know. And then everyone's like, can they do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
there's a chance that will happen. It's just not a very big chance.
You're right.
It depends on what Westbrook shows up.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it absolutely depends on.
Hasn't had a good game this series yet.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't. And
that's going to be sad if he never does.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what kind of team this. But Melo said in game 4, we'll see what kind of team this is in Game 4, and they had the worst loss. So,
I mean, going back to the organization, it's gone through some crazy changes. Billy Donovan's made more. I mean, Sam Presti's made more trades than any other team, any other GM in the NBA over the past 3-4 years.
Yeah,
I don't even have to look that set up. I know it's correct.
Yeah,
like he's definitely made the most trades. It's gone through crazy changes. You bring in a guy like Melo, who's been in a poisonous organization for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know how long he was in New York. Was it 20 years?
Wasn't a good time.
Since 45.
You bring in Paul George, who comes in, and you're right off the bat, you're just saying, please stay.
Yeah.
You throw him a huge party at the newest, coolest, hippest bar in Oklahoma City, right? You do all these things.
Put up banners.
Yeah, put up these banners. So your organization is going through like puberty almost. It's almost like a puberty phase for this organization. Then you still have Russell Westbrook, who signs for a NBA record deal.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Now circling back to Billy Donovan, and I know that you have blame for Billy Donovan. I think it's fair. I think your blame for Billy Donovan.
Not all the blame.
Fair. No, I understand.
But some.
But you're right. Well, if you don't have control of a team, you cannot be a pro coach.
Yeah,
that's any sport.
Doesn't work very well.
When we talked to Antonio Daniels on the podcast a couple weeks ago, when we had Antonio Daniels on the podcast,
he was on this podcast. Antonio Daniels.
He talked about
really quickly. I heard that you guys had Antonio Daniels.
That is a true fact. That actually happened.
He talked about how ego management was. I mean, it could be an exaggeration, but he said 99% of the job.
Yeah. And if
you think this is what Billy Donovan signed up for, to have Carmelo Anthony, a guy who thinks he's still a top 10 player in the league, and probably not even top 100 in the league, on your team, then you
probably true.
That just reminded me of that ESPN article that came out and said that he wasn't in the top whatever.
They ranked him too high. They ranked
it was too high.
And then you have Paul George come in, and the whole time you gotta like. You probably have Presti in your ear. You have the organization in your ear a little bit like, we got to get this guy involved. We got to keep him happy because we want him to hang around.
Yeah.
Our future, this plays a big part in our future. You have Westbrook. You want to make completely happy. You've wanted him to resign since the beginning. He does resign. He has an MVP season all last year. You've basically built these habits in Westbrook, and I think you're seeing him bleed over into this year that's kind of hurting the team a little bit. This is Billy Donovan in his third year in the NBA, man. Like he's dealing with all.
It's been chaos.
This is a guy that's been in college his whole career.
Yeah.
I think Billy Donovan could be a great coach if you give him a young team with like the Brooklyn Nets. I bet he'd be an awesome coach.
Because it's easy to keep those guys in check.
Yeah.
What are you competing with?
I do think
they just came from your college. They just came from college. You're like, I'm barely removed from that whole scene.
And I do think he's a good X's and O's coach. I think we saw it, especially in that first year. That's where I saw the difference between him and Scott Brooks.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That first year, after timeouts, it was like we scored every single time. The Thunder
100%.
scored every
they've
time.
Never done that before in the history.
And let me be on the record as saying I thoroughly believe that he outcoached both Kerr and Popovich in those playoffs. I do not think that he's a bad coach.
Yeah.
I think in this season we have seen that he is not the right coach
In over
for
his
this
head.
team.
Yeah.
And
he
over
doesn't
his
have
head.
the ego management part
Yeah.
quite figured out, which he was in college. So.
I mean, mid-season, we're getting lots of questions on this podcast about, is it time to get rid of Billy?
Yeah.
And I think all of us, it's in the back of your mind. You're like, maybe, we said it a lot. There's a very good chance he might not be the right coach for this podcast, this team. He might not be the right coach for this
We
team.
need a guy to come in here and regulate what we're talking about.
He
I don't know
we
what
are
I'm
off
saying.
the rails. He can be like, "Hey, cut it out."
I'm full court. I'm full court press the whole time. Lots of good looks. None of them going in.
We're into the add.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Before I forget. Hey guys, it's time to tell you about our sponsor, Wellness Perspective. If you're a regular listener, you know by now that Wellness Perspective is a growing community of regular people and business partners that make it easier for you to live a happy, healthful life.
That is correct, Jason. And you also know that Wellness Perspective provides support, motivation, advice, and huge discounts to the services, products, and memberships that are essential to living healthy.
Indeed, one of their partners, ARC Athletic Recovery and Rehabilitation.
So many C's.
There's a lot of syllables there. Is having a marathon recovery day the Sunday and Monday after the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon, which is Sunday, April 29th.
That's this Sunday, by
That's
the way.
this coming Sunday. So go run it because you love running and go do that. And then go to ARC because they're having a deal for a $20 day pass to the Recovery Center, which includes hot and cold whirlpools, infrared saunas, and Normatec compression boots. I cannot read.
That's okay. Just
But
to recap, let's
what's
just
new?
recap that. So if you're running in the Memorial Marathon this Sunday, whether you're running the half marathon or full marathon or whatever the events are, because I
didn't
don't
even know there were options.
If you're a runner and you're going to go do it, take your medal. You can take your marathon medal that you get. You can take it up to ARC Recovery. And you can get a free float spa session, or you can get a free cryotherapy session. And we did that a couple weeks ago.
It was awesome.
And it's awesome.
So you
do
get a
that.
medal even if you get in last place.
I don't know.
I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
We'll go with that.
And you get a $20 day pass or whatever. So visit arcrecoveryok.com for directions and their contact information, and follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/arcrecoveryok if you haven't deleted Facebook yet.
So go check out mywellnessperspective.com today. Get yourself a membership at just $7.97 a month. You save money at all these great places. Start saving money at all of these great places. I'll say it again. And start living healthy.
Get it.
All right, so where did we leave off on? We're talking a lot about the organization, but let's maybe pull it back a little bit because there is still a game 5 left, right? Mm-hmm. You sound super enthused.
I mean, there
about
is
it.
one, yes.
There is one. We can go into how you're feeling about it, the confidence that goes into it, or we can circle back to game 4 a little bit and talk about, I mean,
how
it
bad
can't get worse. It literally can't get worse.
You know
Don't
what's
think
funny?
it can.
That was my thoughts going into the. Those were my thoughts rather going into the playoffs. Was they're playing so poorly they can't play any worse, and
Wrong you were.
I was wrong. Game 1 I thought see,
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 I thought Game 3 I thought oh, Game 4 I cried.
Yeah.
I cried.
Oh, you
hard.
should make that a chart.
Yeah. No, I mean, it does seem like if they play, a decent or good game, I really do think it hinges on Melo's going to be bad. I mean, just he is.
Accepted it this
someone
way.
said, I
He's
saw a
bad.
thread the other day that was like, Melo was 6 of 18 tonight. I feel like that's the most Melo stat line ever. Can someone run me how many times Melo's been 6 of 18? And it was like a ridiculous number of just like, yeah, he hit some shots, but it was bad. It was just, it wasn't good. Like, whatever.
11 points on 18 shots for Melo.
Yeah.
In game 4.
Yeah, it's like
That's
so,
been our barometer for him is the points.
I think it's going to
as
be on
opposed to
Adams
shots.
and Westbrook. I think if Westbrook can control himself and orchestrate and stop being
He's
so
got to
scared of driving.
orchestrate is the key word there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. He's frightened to drive.
Yeah.
Gobert is scaring him.
Do you think it's an ego thing? Do you think he doesn't want to get swatted? I genuinely
Yes,
had that
yes.
thought.
Yeah, it
Yes.
happened last night, and he was like,
no one likes to get swatted. It's embarrassing, especially on the road. The whole crowd goes crazy when Gobert blocks a shot.
yeah.
And so it sinks your soul.
Yeah.
But the old Westbrook, the Westbrook we know, doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's going to attack all day long. Is this fair? Do you guys think Westbrook's lost a step? Has he maybe lost even just a half step? Has he lost a step? I mean, he's about to be 30. He's one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic player we've ever seen.
I don't think so. So my theory on Russ right now, and this is a little sad for me, but basically he had the greatest year of anyone's life in the history of the world last year. He had the single greatest season of anyone in NBA history, basically. He had a baby. He got the MVP. He was awesome. Everybody loved him. He had fashion stuff happen. You know, everything good happened. He signed the biggest contract in NBA history. He got Paul George. He got Carmelo Anthony. All this stuff was supposed to be badass. At some point, it's not badass. You got to have a little bit of a
I think
dip.
it's evening out a little bit.
I think he's
And he
getting,
was
just
the
getting a
under-
little bit of a dip for a minute.
Yeah.
And he got a little too, like, I'm the best. And maybe
certainly looks
that's
like
kind
he-
of where I go back to that humbling thing. Like, maybe he needs to be taken back down
I
a
hope
notch.
you're right, but the thing that I fear is that doubt that exists out in the universe, in
ether?
the Twitter sphere, the stereotypes that are out there. How could you? I mean, you can say you don't pay attention to them all you want,
course
but
they all do.
you're gonna hear about them.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
see them. It feels like those are creeping in. Even from the beginning of the season, it felt like those have crept in. Remember the beginning of the season, Russ was way too passive. He was getting everyone involved way too much, and he eventually said F it, and the Thunder started playing way better.
Yeah. Mhm.
Way better.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of gone back and forth. Now all of a sudden, you're just not seeing the same Westbrook. Get to the rim. Making
He's
plays.
indecisive.
Indecisive.
Jumping in the air and passing it to the Jazz.
Westbrook's always been a robotic
Not
player.
the best play.
He's
Yeah,
always,
it's
wanna
not a
run
good
that
play.
he's always been somewhat of a robotic player.
Yeah.
Where he...
It's like he's predetermined what he's going to do,
Exactly.
and he's like, I'm going to go down and do this one.
Exactly. And so it
And
makes
external elements don't affect that game plan.
Until they do.
Where we're seeing them now absolutely shape that game plan.
Yeah, I mean, if you can hone in on something like that, where you know what a guy's gonna do, and he doesn't have any creativity to his game right now, it doesn't feel like Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook has any creativity to his game.
Yeah.
Where a lot of point guards out there will find a way around it. That's not fair. Not a lot of point guards will find their way around it. The Jazz are incredible defensively,
Yeah.
Yeah, they are really
but
good.
we
So good.
expect Russell Westbrook to find his way around it. That's
Yeah.
how good he has been in the past. And so my worry is, I mean, we're just not seeing those explosive Westbrook plays to the rim. Have we seen a Westbrook dunk outside of a fast break? In the series?
can't
Not
think of
really.
one. So James Doak from YouTube, he asks, do you guys think that there is something wrong with Russ, injuries, that they are not disclosing?
Probably a little bit.
Because that
Could
could
be.
go to your point. I mean, he had the whole knee thing this summer. I mean, that's
Could be.
long gone. But
There was the cryptic
it's-
thing that I just cut you off.
No,
Go
you're-
ahead.
I mean, maybe that's like lingering around or something. We don't know that
It's hard
information.
to know.
If they're holding that information, I mean, that's possible.
There was that cryptic interview that I thought was interesting. There's two interviews. And by the way, I don't think this is an excuse because this isn't something that is unique to the Thunder.
Right.
Every team in the playoffs deals with this. But someone was asking Adams, are you healthy? And he's like, yeah, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine. Like, you guys quit it. And then Leslie McCaslin was standing next to him. She said, you're playoff fine, right? And he looked at her and he said, yeah, I'm playoff fine. He's like, I'm playoff fine.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a very clear indication of like, yeah, some shit's up.
Yeah,
but
everybody's hurt
We're
right now.
playing like
Right.
I'm not playing. And Westbrook said something to the extent someone else, I can't remember the interview, and maybe somebody will like find it, but he said something to the extent someone asked him, he's like, you know, like, are you injured? Like whatever. And he's like, man, we're all
Yeah.
dealing with stuff.
We're all
Yeah.
hurting all over. our
Yeah, he
body.
said something like, there's lots of stuff with my body.
Yeah.
but
And
it's-
he's like, everybody's got this playoffs, like whatever. Yeah, I think that definitely you could see that stuff. I just think you're seeing a culmination of exactly how you stop Westbrook from doing all of the things that we're used to. You've got a center that has got hawk eyes for him, that is ready,
and he just has to
and
sit
swats, which Russell hates. You've got a identity crisis that has persisted all season long.
Oh, yeah.
And right when it was starting to become clear, Robertson goes down, and then there just hasn't been an identity since then, literally.
Mm-hmm.
You've got him getting angry with Rubio. You've got a rookie point guard just destroying him with Mitchell. Does Mitchell play the two, I guess? I guess they
Yeah.
kind of switch him back and forth.
Yeah, he's like a combo
Yeah.
guard, but he's
Yeah.
Either way, you've got a dude. I mean, the comparisons. Like you said, he's seen the graphics. People are like, "Wow, this rookie hasn't a rookie." Someone said something like, "No one's outscored a rookie since like Elgin Baylor outscored Bill Russell." And like, what, dude? It's like he's seeing all these things. So I don't think that he's lost a step, but I think he's playing bad basketball, and I think all of those things are contributing.
guys. I think he's lost a step.
All right.
I really do. Just like even if it's just a half a step, I'm just not seeing that
Age?
Like,
Because of age?
maybe wear and tear. The guy's played a lot of games. I mean, he's played a lot of games in his career. If you take into account the playoffs, and on the offensive end, he goes 100 all of the time.
Yeah.
And the ball is always in his hands.
Yeah.
That stuff takes a toll, man. And like Westbrook is so explosive that even if you do lose a step, he's still explosive.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
but
right.
if it feels like he's lost a little belief in himself, and that's what scares me. That's what scares me the most. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
And
how
then
I feel.
You were talking about Adams. Man, he's just been non-existent all
He
series
hasn't
long.
shown
People
up at
keep
all.
talking about. See, okay, here's what I think. All right, people keep talking about he's non-existent, he's been negated or whatever. I don't think they've tried hard enough. Like Adams isn't like he'll miss a hook or whatever. What his stats in this series, like in game 1, Adams and Gobert essentially cancel each other out.
Yeah,
Yesterday's game, he was what, like 4 of 6?
4-9.
4-9, like that's okay. Like keep going to him. My thing is just like, well, so you just don't try?
Yeah.
Like my,
Even-
Yeah, no, I think they should definitely try to go.
he
go
has
there.
been
Like, that's the idea.
non-existent.
Even if you
I
pass
mean,
it into
he
the
mostly
post.
this series hasn't been on the floor because he's been in foul trouble.
Right.
That's a huge issue.
Even-
last night he was finally there, and he got some good shots, and he made them, and I was like, keep doing that.
He made a couple hooks over Gobert in the post. And even if just because you go to the post doesn't mean he has to shoot it from the post.
Right.
Pass back out.
Play a little inside out. Mix it up.
He's
There's
so
zero
tepid.
mixing up
Do
with this team.
something different.
Yeah.
You guys just really hit on something that really frustrated me, and I visually was obvious. Nobody, you could not know anything about basketball, and you could watch this game and you could see this. There was such the body language screamed, I don't know what we're doing really.
Yeah.
Like from everyone. Dude, there was one possession. Paul George had the ball. He grabs the ball. He's on the corner 3, which, we love those. He kind of, and Ingles is on him. He kind of looks like he wants to take the matchup. He pump fakes. Ingles bites, jumps. Then he kind of steps in. Then he goes up, but then he's not sure. He comes back out. He like kind of does this thing, and then he jumps in the air, does a classic Westbrook thing, jumps in the air, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And he throws it out. You have that from Adams. Adams catches it like almost in the post. He immediately looks to pass. You're not getting respected in the post if you literally catch the ball and your guy's not even considering
Yep.
scoring.
And
Like,
that kind of stuff has been happening all year. Like,
Yeah,
that's not even
when you
something
watch,
new.
And
Right,
then when
no,
you
no,
watch
true.
the Jazz play, they're so sure of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's just on a string.
I watched the
They
Clippers-
know that Donovan Mitchell knows Joe Ingles is going to be right there,
Yeah.
be wide open for a 3, or not even wide open, but he knows where his guy's going to be.
Yeah.
This team has no idea.
I watched so I can't remember what week it was or whatever, but I watched a Thunder game and we lost to some shitty team, like the Kings probably. And then, supposedly shitty team. And then I watched the Clippers play somebody, and I was like, it's not good when the depleted Clippers look like a better basketball team than your all-star basketball team. That's not a good look. And they actually know what they're doing. They're passing the ball. Like, they know where their guys are going to be.
When you watch this Thunder team over the last two nights, it's amazing they were 48 and 34.
It is. It really is. We talked about that earlier today. It's crazy.
It's truly amazing that they had that decent of a record, because this team, man, all season long, it's just, this is going to go down. If the Thunder lose in 5 or if they lose in 6, this is going to be,
Especially if they lose in 5.
this is
That's
going to be
depressing.
maybe the most
take-
painful season.
Yeah.
I think
that's-
bar none.
even-
I think bar none.
Even topping when you're up 3-1 on the Warriors, like that hurt. That hurt.
That hurt real
but
bad.
this is like
we had a pretty great scapegoat in that situation, though. To be
That
fair,
son of a bitch.
expectations coming in to the season, and then just constantly from game 1 to game 82 to the playoffs, just constantly being frustrated with how is this team literally not developed?
yeah.
Seemingly not a single inch
Yeah.
over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Just
There's no progression.
Yeah.
It was just like a flat line of not good.
And I've
I
been
mean, a
seeing
little this. And
Oh,
then,
yeah. I mean, it
right.
went around.
I've
Yeah.
been seeing these beat writers too, which is funny because normally there's just a consensus of just an because people just don't like how Russell plays, which I
Yeah.
get. I don't mind that as long as you acknowledge it. When you try to delve deep into it, then it's like, dude, just you don't like how he plays. That's fine.
Yeah, right.
Even Bill Simmons said the other thing. He's like, I don't hate Russell Westbrook. I just love basketball, which is him being a shithead. But basically,
because Bill Simmons is that.
Right. But basically, he's just acknowledging, I don't like the way that Russell Westbrook plays. Great. My thing is this, like, coming into this season, you had these expectations that they would just win by accident. And I'm seeing these beat writers, which I think those were fair expectations. Like, you really on paper should just accidentally beat the Nets or the Hornets or whatever. But I think these beat writers are I saw everyone talking about how important Robertson was. Like, Robertson's, but you guys just don't understand. And I get it, man. But, like, nah. Andre Robertson is not the DNA of the Oklahoma City Thunder with Adams, Westbrook, Melo, and Paul George. Robertson isn't the kingpin.
You're right, and I see where they're coming from at the same time.
Totally.
I agree.
No, I do, but I'm saying that's a bad.
But here's where you can bend it on the organization a little bit, is the fact that this is kind of this is how they build their team. And on one hand, you got to respect the Thunder organization for doing it this way, right? They have an idea. They have an idea on the way they want to build their team, and they build their team that way. When you look at guys like Robertson, Hustis, Ferguson, Grant, these long guys that they love, these long defensive-oriented guys that are role players that
can't
they say,
shoot.
The guys that are going to come in, accept their role, be non-headaches, zero headaches with these guys, and that's what we want. And eventually we'll catch fire with one of them. They'll be awesome. I think that's kind of what they hope for.
I would agree with that.
But then on the flip side, you're exactly right. There's no way Andre Robertson should be this important to this team. Now, if you had Andre Robertson in this series, it would make a huge difference.
I think the Thunder. I think the Thunder would be winning right now. I don't think the Thunder.
Maybe.
I mean, if you look at the defensive on-off, like,
but
I think Rubio doesn't get hot with Robertson on. I don't think Mitchell gets hot.
Yeah, he's on Mitchell in the series. He doesn't. He's on the floor when Mitchell's on the floor, and he's off the floor when Mitchell's off the floor.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it would be.
Mitchell wouldn't have a day without, or a second without Robertson on.
It sucks. It sucks that the Thunder were robbed that, but the reality is that the ceiling wasn't much higher. It really wasn't. And you look at the box score, man. Offensively, we talked about it last spot. I think that the Thunder were going to win. They're going to win the series with offense. They're going to win or lose the series with offense.
Yeah.
And no, their defense sucked. It sucked. Yeah. Their weak side help. They're giving up corner three after corner three after corner three. It's terrible. But it's their bad offense is leading to these things.
100%.
They're terrible shots that are leading to long rebounds and easy runouts for the Jazz. It's basketball 101, man. When you're watching TNT and then you see the post game and Charles Barkley is breaking it down for you and nailing it on the head, you're like, well,
that's a problem.
You're playing dumb basketball because he's nailing this right now. And I agree with everything that Charles Barkley is saying, and that's not usually not the key. But you look offensively, Carmelo Anthony sucked. 5 for 18, 11 points. Paul George, 9 for 21, not a great shooting percentage. 32 points on 21 shots.
Really not that bad. I mean,
got to the line 12 times.
50%.
Especially with nobody at all moving around him.
Right.
Got to the line 12 times and made every single one of them. Russell Westbrook, 7 for 18. Not a good percentage, but got to the line 11 times. What we've been preaching.
Yeah.
And made 9 of them. Scored 23 points on 18 shots. That's about the Russell Westbrook, what we expect as far as points to field goal attempts ratio, which I think is very important for this team. 14 rebounds for Russ. That's fine. Assists, 3. All in the first quarter.
Awful.
That's good.
You cannot have your all-star MVP point guard putting up 3 assists. That is shameful.
First quarter. All in the first quarter, man.
Not good.
It was
Hey,
just
we won that first quarter, though.
It was just an extreme lack of offensive execution, offensive game plan, anything on the offensive end.
Defensive execution, defensive game plan, scoring buckets, defending them from making buckets, dribbling, not turning the ball over, keeping the ball,
passing
the ball, moving your
timeouts. Timeouts weren't good.
Timeouts were bad.
Coaching,
rotations.
Didn't like the crowd the way they were.
I didn't like them. They were loud.
Yeah,
didn't like it. It was pretty much all not good.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I think we covered it.
So that's like in these.
We should have just started with that.
Like in these last 2 games, I was telling you this before we started. In these last 2 games, I don't think there's even a reason to look at. Like if you watch the game, there's zero reason to look at the stats. Like, it just was horrible basketball. It's some of the worst basketball I feel like I've ever seen.
You're right. And with this team, that's a theme this year. There's no reason to look at the stats with this team. I mean, you can if you want a little context of what happened. But
and you'll be like, oh, well, hey, Russ did all right. Like what you were just saying. Russ did okay, and Paul George did all right, but not, like, great. And then it's like, yeah, but did you see it, though?
When you're down 10, 12, and you force feed Carmelo Anthony in the post 2 straight possessions.
After he's missed
What
5
you doing?
shots.
And he doesn't capitalize.
What you doing? Even if he does, you're still like, okay, but what are you doing now?
Yeah.
Have you, like, on his layup real quick, I just have to. He just goes up and, like, jumps and then goes, oh, shit, I can't jump as high as I used to. And then, like, kind of flings it at the basket and it just hits the rim and comes back down.
Yeah. Man, it's sad. It's sad to watch the decline. So we got into the future a lot today.
We did. We really went far.
And we'll wait. We will wait to get into the stuff, the trades, the offseason approach, everything like that until the season is officially over. So I don't want to get into that at all.
Still got that game 5.
Because I don't want to everything's been extremely pessimistic as far as how we're viewing this because and rightfully so. I mean, watch the games and that's what you're going to get. Do we hope the Thunder come out and win? Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Can they come out and win? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could the Hear what I'm saying. Could the Oklahoma City Thunder come out and win 3 straight? They can do that.
They do have the ability
to do that, and they've shown in stretches, in hot flashes, that they are a better team than the Jazz.
They're
They have
menopausal.
shown those things.
They got hot
The thing
flashes.
is, can this Thunder do it? Can they do it consistently? Can they lock in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't it all come down to Russell Westbrook? Doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope that Melo could get like maybe a little bit better.
Sure, but I think it all comes
I
down
don't
to
have
Russ.
that hope.
And the thing that scares me is that Russ has not found a slice of success in this series. And
I just want at this point, I just want him to have one good game where we win, and it's like, see, he could do that, and then.
Was he that bad in game 1? Was that overshadowed?
it was his best game of the series.
Yeah.
Best game of the series for sure.
It wasn't great.
He was 10 for 25, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's not great.
He got to the line, though. He got to the line 9 times, and he went 9 for 9, if I remember correctly, which I'm pretty sure I am. He had a good amount of assists. He was fine. He was making his mid-range shots when he had to take them. He has to do that, though. We talked about it last pod. Or maybe that was me and Rob on the aftershock.
Yeah.
They're going to give him that mid-range shot, and he has to not hesitate, and he has to knock it down. Because if he knocks it down, it opens up.
But also, he keeps taking it 5 feet too far. Go in a little bit closer.
Yeah. You're right.
What the hell are you doing?
You're right. He's pulling up from 2. And then you can always tell when Russ's jump shot's going in.
Yeah.
Right when he starts to shoot it, you're like, that's off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Okay.
66K Sis from YouTube says, who has been the most consistent player this playoffs?
Grant.
I was gonna say Grant.
Yep.
gotta be
That's
Grant.
not good for us.
It's not what you want.
Unless, if you're talking consistently, like, not
same?
bad,
Yeah.
or are you just talking about flat out consistently because mellow?
Melo's been consistently terrible.
Oh, man. Any Twitter questions?
Let's run through some real quick.
Can I say before we get there? Let me see if I can find it quick.
Okay.
I've actually someone posted today. Well, I don't know if I can find it quick. Someone posted today. Paul George's shooting splits in this series. They're actually not. They're not bad. They're actually
game
really
one
good.
helped a lot.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because he was 2 of 9 from 3 last, and so everyone's like, "Man, he's shooting so great from 3." And I was like, I mean, one game he did.
The problem
10
is
of 13 will do a world of good for your shooting splits when you're 2 of 9 from the next game.
It just
he has a tough time making plays on this team.
yeah. And,
and
to
that's
me,
the
it
thing.
just
You don't
doesn't
want him
matter.
to be doing that. You don't want him to be the guy facilitating.
I think
don't
he wants to be that, though.
That's so weird, man.
I mean,
Again, it comes down to the identity.
I think
what
he's
do you
capable
want?
of doing it, but I think that this team doesn't have the pieces around him when he has the ball necessary for him to be successful.
Yeah.
They have the pieces around Russ for Russ to be successful because those are the pieces that Russ gets going.
Yeah.
But not Paul George. He needs guys that are able to catch and attack, and Russ needs the guys that are able to catch and just shoot, or catch and dunk, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Agreed. All right.
Nice.
All right.
Caught on real quick.
Thunder Tie at Thunder Tie asks, what is your favorite French fry style?
I like this question by our fellow,
Yeah,
and
thanks,
I like
Justin.
that it's first.
Thanks, Siri.
Sorry. I think
French
she was
fries
giving us
styles?
information on French fries. I just says cereal on French fries. I think I'm in the rare crinkle cut.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
No, I'm a pub fry guy.
What's
Love
that?
pub fries. They're just like pretty normal fries that are delicious at pubs. I don't know.
What do they look like?
They're just like straight fries, but
Well,
they're like
like-
kind of bigger. I don't know.
Just like
seasoned
steak
and
fries?
good. No, not like that. They're just fries.
Just fries. Just fries.
Just fries.
Well, I like fries.
So for one thing, I love fries, like all of them,
Uh-huh.
so much. I don't.
I will say like potato wedges, if those are counted, if
Well,
those count,
I do like potato wedges.
good. Curly fries, overrated.
See, I disagree with you there. I really like them, but only from Arby's. So
Yeah, see, I've always thought they're overrated from Arby's.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Jacob, French fries.
You know, I'm a pretty big fan of the pub fries myself, like McNally's.
What are pub fries?
Can you explain them better than I did? Because I did a shitty
They're
job.
smaller. They're not quite as
Smaller.
meatier. Like Brahms, like the crinkle cut. They're
Right.
like pretty meaty, but they're also not the burnt crap at the bottom of the. It's just like smaller, thinner, crispier fries. So like
McDonald's?
No, like McNally's. Like like McNally's fries.
I don't
like
remember
their
that.
sweet
We'll
potatoes.
go and try them.
Whatever.
We'll go and
Okay,
try them.
sounds
All right, Koji Gritton at Koji Gritton. Are the good times gone? They've.
But they've been gone for a while.
I feel like they've not been around
It's been a
lately.
bit. It's been a bit.
All right, get ready to get depressed. We're getting into it.
Oh no, guys! The questions that you gave us. Oh no!
It's getting dark out there.
Don't complain about us complaining about the team if you take a look at your questions because right in line.
Whew. Brian Davis, 4 MVP at C Senor 405. This guy's actually a little optimistic. Everyone is acting like the series is over. You're right, they are acting like that. This Thunder team is one of the weirdest teams ever and has a season filled with 4-game losing streaks and 6-game winning streaks. Do you still believe we can win the series?
Yes, I believe that the Thunder are capable of winning the series. Would I pick them to win the series?
Absolutely.
I mean, no, I wouldn't.
Along the same lines, Garrett Carter at wannabe Hawooper? Wannabe H Whooper? I don't know. Scale from 1 to 10 on confidence Thunder can win 3 straight and take the series.
I'm going to be at a 2.5 to 3.
I'm at a 1.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
probably more
I'm gonna
accurate.
go out there. I'm gonna say I'm a 5, just
just
simply
50-50.
because
Proud of you.
the Thunder have, again, like I mentioned earlier, shown me that the thing that I predict they will do based on what they have been doing is not the thing they'll do.
So now
When they've been winning,
That's
they will
fair.
start to lose a lot, and when they've been losing, they will start to win a lot.
I remember in the 2012 playoffs
God.
against the Spurs, the Thunder finals team was down 2-0 in that series, and they were getting run out the gym.
Oh yeah,
The
It was
Spurs
ugly.
were doing exactly what the Jazz are doing right now, where they were just zipping the ball around the court. Although the Spurs didn't have a Rudy Gobert, they had Tim Duncan. They didn't have Rudy Gobert.
No.
They're zipping the ball around the court, and the Thunder kind of looking like the Thunder are looking right now, not quite as bad offensively. Thunder come back and win the series. They put it together, won 4 straight, and win the series. And they start giving the Spurs a little dose of their own medicine. Can this Thunder team do that? It's hard to find that evidence that they can, but it's happened before, I guess.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of it's kind of what you said. I think going into the couple games before the playoffs, people were asking stuff, and it was the show me that you can do it. Like with this team at this point, it's like what you were saying. I think they have the capability of winning the series if they come out as the right team. But if they play anything like they played the last 2 games, they are absolutely done.
Well, and what's
in 5, and that's embarrassing.
What's
They should be
important to me is to also remember the mentality, the types of personalities you have on this team. Russell Westbrook doesn't think this series is over.
No.
Not at all.
Paul George doesn't think this
He
series
might.
is over.
He might.
He might. Truthfully, he might. Carmelo, it's hard to know. Those role
He's
players.
taking a nap.
He
none
forgot
of
it's
those
the
guys.
playoffs.
I mean, Melo might. I mean, I don't know. I could see Paul George thinking it's over, but I could also see him being like, we're not, like, he's got nothing to lose. Paul George has nothing to lose. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to get paid. He's going to go somewhere that wants him to be there, no matter
have a
what.
little bit of embarrassment.
So, right, and so for some of me, it says, that mentality is important to consider.
Yeah,
where
sure.
you don't
No, I
really
agree.
have the Robin Lopez discussing where they're going on vacation before the closeout
Yeah,
game.
right.
What was that, last year or 2 years ago?
Like if you said that in this locker room, you'd get slapped in the head.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
the
I
thing
don't
that
know.
worries me is the Jazz just look so locked in, man. They look just so.
They just
locked
look like the better
Yeah,
team.
no, I mean the logical pick is obviously you pick the
Definitely,
Jazz.
definitely.
They've got 3 chances.
in. Yeah.
So
All right, so this is the depressing part. Thunderup at Jesus shaves, not saves, shaves, and Mr. Why Not 18 at Mr. Not 18 had some similar questions. Should we start looking into a rebuild? I.e., sign the assets we can, like Grant, Brewer, etc., and then just start trading everyone for young talent and first-round picks. I don't see many other ways to improve if PG leaves.
Well, like we said, like we're not gonna dive into this stuff yet until it's over. Like it's just not. It's just
Agreed.
not right.
Agreed.
It's not right to do yet. I understand why your mind might go there because last night was that brutal.
It was super brutal.
I mean, my mind last night went to when it was just that bad. It was just like, man, just end it. It's like
Yeah.
it's like misery at this point. You know, it's like suffering. Just kill the suffering and just call it. Like there was a point last night the Thunder were playing so bad and looked like they quit.
yeah.
Yeah.
They looked like they quit that I was like, are they about to just walk off the floor and say, no, we're good?
Yeah.
It kind of felt that way.
It
for
felt
sure.
that way.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to also mention too, and we won't. Again, there's a lot to talk about here, but the idea that this team, if they get taken in 5, will have essentially the exact same success that they had last year without Paul George. So the idea of like, should they blow it up and rebuild? What if they lose out on Paul George? Right now, my question is way broader than that. I mean, is that the best move? Does it work? Does Paul George work with Westbrook? So for me, like I'm not quite ready to do the whole thing of like, obviously you want to retain him, but if you retain him and Melo, it's a different team. And
Definitely
so,
gonna have to have some sit downs.
Yeah.
All right, so Connor Kelly at CKelly0. Zach Lowe suggested LeBron isn't playing defense because he's so tired. Do you think that this is the case for Russ too? I've never really thought about him being tired, but I'm sure he's exhausted. Just doesn't show it.
I don't know, man. Like, I think that sometimes people are a little too hard on him, but other times it's very warranted. And I think that sometimes he gets caught in the individual one-on-one game a little bit, and I think that hurts him. I think last night,
Especially?
yeah, I think last night he was a little too worried about Ricky Rubio at times, which I understand. You want to make a statement. I thought coming out of the game, he did a really good job. He was aggressive coming out of the game, and he got all up in Rubio. Rubio had a terrible first quarter.
It was awesome.
So
I
all
enjoyed it.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But you got to sustain it and
Also, don't give the game away for that.
yeah, exactly.
That's not the point.
Have the big picture in mind.
Well, and also
Exactly.
keep in mind too, Westbrook's not used to playing defense like that, and so whether the last 2 fouls were questionable or not, you learn to play good defense. Robertson's very good at playing good defense without fouling. If you're not used to playing lockdown defense, you're not. I mean, that muscle memory of these are the moves I can do without crossing the line. I mean, it's logical. Again, I think there were a couple iffy ones, but
He can be
regardless,
better. He can be better.
He can be better, but my opinion, in answer to that question, I think, yeah, he does get tired. Does he get tired enough to not move off ball? No, that's just bad play style.
All right, James at OSHA Water Bottle. Let's say the Thunder fire Billy and hire a coach that is more focused on ball movement. Does the coaching change help the ball movement, or is it ultimately up to Russ and the other players?
I think we've talked about this a little bit when we
Yeah.
talk about Billy. I mean, okay,
It kind of goes back to that.
Number
Is
one-
Russ coachable?
number one, you're not going to fire Billy after game 4.
Yeah, that'd be
Heading into
weird.
game 5, probably not smart. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think the only guy that can get Russell Westbrook to buy into something that is greater and just a completely different system is probably
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, or Greg Popovich.
Or Russell
That
Westbrook.
might be it.
Russell Westbrook himself.
Yeah, or that. I mean, I don't
Finally
know.
realizing, oh,
The truth is, as long as Russell Westbrook's on this team, the offense is going to be similar to what we've seen in the past few years. That's
that's-
just how it's going to be. That's how he plays.
yeah.
And that's not to say, just as we said earlier, it's not to say that it's always going to be unsuccessful. There might be a ceiling, but it can be successful.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
It can work. All right, Cameron Pierce at CPierce2012. Hypothetically speaking, who do you think would take the fall for an underwhelming season? This is basically back on that blame game. Donovan or Presti? Roster construction is on Pressey, but roster utilization is on Donovan. Do you think either will be fired, or is it too premature? Definitely too premature. You don't even know what the team's going to be like yet.
Too premature, but it is a valid question after the series is over if the Thunder do in fact lose.
Agreed.
Because God, you could really trace it all back to Pressey. I mean, Pressey's made these moves, and I know that everyone says that you make the moves every single time, and I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think that's right, but at the same time, it is his job, and you have to have a little foresight. And if you completely missed, if you just completely missed and you screwed your team going forward in the future, you got to have some accountability, just as these players have to have some accountability.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to wonder too, something that really cooks my turkey.
Oh,
is
haven't heard that one.
Dirty.
Is you genuinely wonder if Enes Kanter, who we all talked about being awful and unplayable in the playoffs, would be more helpful for the Thunder right now
In this series.
In this
against,
particular series?
against the Jazz.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And
He would
so it does. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I agree with you. I think you do make the move, but you get Enes's contract off the books, but you also bring in a really bad one. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the season plays out.
All right. Always and Forever Art at Always and Forever Art. Do you fellas think it will help to play Patterson at the 4 with the starters in place of Melo?
Yes.
He is a better defender, smarter on defense, better spot-up shooter, ball mover. Basically, this guy, I think,
All
is
of it.
saying that he's a better basketball player. It just isn't fair to him to replace Adams, and Grant just can't shoot well enough.
No, I agree.
You wouldn't replace Adams. Adams is.
Yeah, no.
If we don't see some adjustments, like some hardcore adjustments,
Like some minutes
I mean,
changing,
it-
maybe
it-
Melo getting.
if I were to
20
ask
minutes?
you guys, if we were playing legitimate or preposterous today, and I said Josh Eustace is going to play some rotational minutes in Game 5, would you say legitimate or say preposterous?
Probably would say
Whose minutes
legitimate
are you taking?
at this point.
That's what I want to know, because every time I want Donovan to play someone, he might play that person. He takes minutes away from the other person that I want him to play.
He's not taking away from Melo.
Yeah,
Then
No,
that would be preposterous.
He's right. The questioner always and forever. He's right, man. Patterson got to play with Adams. If he's gonna get bullied by Favors. He's gonna get bullied by Gobert, man. You gotta. It's funny. I wanted to bring this up throughout the course of conversation, but the one thing that we talked about all year, Jason, you know this. What's been the Thunder's biggest need all season long? The backup center.
Yep.
And it's really hurting them right now. I mean, I don't think we saw. We talked about in the playoffs. We're like, oh, they won't need it in the playoffs because first round they'll win anyways.
Yeah, right.
Second, third rounds they won't need it against Houston and Golden State.
Yeah, we were like, oh, there aren't even teams that you needed against until we play the one that you needed against.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Aaron at @AYount_15. Do you think it was in the Jazz's game plan to just completely get into Thunder's stars' heads? It seems like they went to that early in Game 2 and haven't taken their foot off the gas pedal since, and it has worked.
If I'm scouting the Thunder, absolutely I want to get Westbrook off kilter.
Sure.
And they've done it.
Get him tilted.
Yeah, I don't think it.
Get 'em
that
tilted.
means.
I don't think it's in their game plan, but I think it's played right into their hands.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, here you go,
Yeah,
get in
I mean,
our heads.
Yeah.
Like the Thunder have acted like tough guys, and they've been a little cocky all season long. As far as we'll get it together, you know, maybe cocky is not the right word, but they've been a little overconfident.
Yeah.
They've been a
Yeah.
little. I would like to see. Maybe this is. I'm in the wrong here, but I would like to see a little like. I don't want to say panic, but a little bit of
Urgency.
urgency. That's
Yeah.
the right word. To say throughout the season and be like, we got to be better.
Yeah.
Like we just got to be better.
Yeah.
We didn't see that this season long, and it's. I feel like
I mean,
that's
even
coming
in
back
the
to bite right now.
even in the practice talks today, they just kept saying, we just got to keep it together for 48
I
minutes.
hate that,
it's like
man.
we one time to say, hey, we haven't been doing well.
Yeah.
Like this is what we haven't been doing well, and like it's my fault. Like
Yeah, just-
that's my bad.
It's funny because I think that it would like serve every fan and everyone a little bit of relief if they would just be like, we suck. Everyone would be like, yes, you said it. It's true.
Okay.
It's true. Now accept the facts
And now go
roll
be
with
better.
them. Yeah, and go be better.
Which
It'll be
then
better.
plays back to your question. Is that why he was so good last season? Because Kevin Durant left, and the expectation was, oh my God, this team is going to just be awful.
it's
and
part
then
of
make
it.
the
It does almost see
playoffs.
that's like the expectations have kind of fed into his overthinking and like the pressure that's on him.
Yep,
I think it's
I think so. And I think that it's one thing that's getting lost that last year was a great year for us, man.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's
Like,
the best year you could
it's
ever
what
have.
set up for this year to be such a failure if it does end the way it looks like it's going to end.
Yeah.
Like the dude won 47 games
By himself.
by himself.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Like it was a fun season, and it was fun because we had no expectations going in, and it was a fun year. And this season should have been
I
a
don't
fun
like
year.
expectations, guys.
I'm with you.
Let's stop having them.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. I hope you were able to muscle this one out with us. It felt a little therapeutic.
Yeah, I feel much better.
Do you?
Yeah.
Eh.
Well,
I'm oddly more excited to watch tomorrow's game than I was.
Really
when I
thought
sat
you were
down.
gonna say aroused.
I'm oddly.
Really thought that.
I'm
gonna
oddly
scoot over.
aroused.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. You can follow Jacob over at Jacob is Man. That's 2 N's at the end. Subscribe on YouTube. You can watch all the pods live or on demand. Subscribe on iTunes. Rate and review because it does help us, if
It
you will
does.
be so kind. We probably have some Jazz fans funneling over there giving us 1 star, so try to cancel them out. Give us 5 stars.
or if you're a nice Jazz fan,
Yeah.
your team's good.
We're also on
Good job.
Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, Google Play. Anywhere that podcasts can be found, we are there. OKCThunderheads.com. You can find anything to fulfill your Thunder needs. We'll be back. Game 5 tomorrow. Aftershock after that. And then after that will be TBD because who knows how this series ends. But we'll catch you guys tomorrow night with that Aftershock. Till then, as always, Thunder up. We like to wave to the camera.
Oh.